And once again, we say hello and greet you with a heavenly smile, knowing that this is the day that God has placed within our hands. This is the day that God has placed all that He is under our command. This is the day that God has declared unto us, come to the atonement. This is recording 436, today's date, November 2nd, 2022, entitled, Come to the Atonement. The atonement. And if you'll notice, that word is made up of three individual words. At, one, meant. It is God's desire for us to be so at one with Him. And I use that word Him. I don't even know how God got to be called a Him, but God wants us to be so at one with Him that when people see us, that they should see Him. Or when they speak to Him, they should be able to know that everyone on the planet really, really externalizes the presence of all that God is. We tend to think that if we can pray to God in a measurable way, that God is going to come and protect us from the evils that are in this world. But that's not the case. We will be protected from the evils that appear to be in this world, but there is no God that is going to come and do that for us because we pray. It is because we have been atoned. When man comes to understand that Jesus Christ brought in atoning grace, and that atoning grace was the fact that God never stopped loving us. God never is holding anything against us. God is never punishing us. But the fact that we have come into an environment and we have basically forgotten who we are, where we come from, our divinity, and Jesus Christ brought that to us that we may be self-atoned. What do I mean by self-atoned? Self-atoned means that we would come individually to the understanding that there is nothing that can separate us from the love of God. Therefore, we fear nothing. While all around us, degradation and evil and all this mayhem may be going on, but we're supposed to, as Jesus said, be of good cheer. Why? Because He has overcome the world. And because He has overcome the world, He is also expressing that accomplishment to us. Because as He was and is still in this world, so are we. So it's our awareness. Our awareness comes to an understanding. It comes to a knowing that nothing evil, nothing negative can enter into the relationship that we have with our awareness of who we are that can defile. In the last days, it has been said, there shall be wars and rumors of wars. But be not dismayed, nor be afraid, for I have overcome the world. You know, it's sort of like when we have little children around us, and the children start to get afraid. And one of the things that really, really hung with me is my little 4-year-old grandson, that when his aunt, my oldest daughter, came up to the house where we were staying, she did not know we were going to be there. So when she saw us, she immediately burst into tears. So while everybody's laughing and hollering and whatnot, she's boo-hooing like crazy, and my little grandson is standing there looking at his mother with his eyes wide open, and he look at his aunt, and he doesn't know how to make sense of this. And I went over to him and I said, Jack, these are happy tears. And he looked at me like, what? I said, because, they don't know. And I said, these are happy tears. Well, that's a new concept. What was I saying to him? Don't be afraid. Don't be disgruntled. Don't be upset because nothing bad is happening, even though she's crying and she looks the same way she would look, but it wasn't that torn up look. And that's what Jesus is saying to us is be of good cheer, that though evil be happening all about you, understand that I have overcome all that evil to the point to where you need not pay it any attention. Now, look about you at those that, and I'm not being negative, but look at those who call themselves Christian around you and remember the last conversation that you had with them and see if it wasn't usually about some negativity, something horrible, something bad happening in the world. Jesus came to tell us that we're not supposed to be afraid. He says, I am come that you might have peace, that you might have the life of abundance. This is my purpose for coming to you, that you might have peace, that you might have life abundant. When the eyes are no longer blind, when truth shall take its rightful place in the temple, then shall a man be free, totally free. We tend to look at buildings, and we tend to put value on buildings. Then we tend to say how people should act in these holy buildings when we truly, truly misunderstand that the writers of truth were always talking about the temple of God, which we are. So when they're talking about the temple of God, they're talking about you, not a four-sided building. Therefore, when you see people come in, and I have heard people say, look at them, got nerve enough to come in here looking like that. Or so-and-so come in here dressed like that. Or they come in here and they're not acting the way that, why don't they do that? Those are the things that distract us from the atoning love of God. Because what do the scriptures plainly say? Come as you are. Wow. Come as you are. That's twofold. So outwardly, I can look like somebody that just crawled out of the gutter, and I should be able to walk into the, as they say, the house of God and be accepted in love. And then the other thing is my consciousness may have been gutterized, and God is telling me, come as your mental state will allow you to come right now. Come as you are, and I will cleanse you. So what we need to understand is whenever God is speaking to us, he's not talking about material gain. He's not talking about material abundance. What he's saying is come and acquire the riches of Jesus Christ. Thereby, Paul is able to say what? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So this man who is no longer blind, the words of God in the temple shall make him free, totally free. And when is this? When the heart fully yields in trusting openness. When a man no longer struggles to inquire or request of God, but understands that it was his inner vision that required atoning. That's all that needs to be changed is your inner vision. And what does that look like on the street? When you see all men as Christ saw them. That's the hard part for us. It's hard to see the righteousness of a man when he's acting in an ignoble way. When he's acting in a way that seems to be tearing down anything that could be good, and yet Jesus did not hold this against them. Contemplating the truth of the word with open cleanness, this vision creates a cleanness that one might be able to recognize his own divinity. When we contemplate truth, we are placing ourselves before an inner fire, an inner purification, and it causes us to see our own divinity. Now, at this point, I need to state that it is not my intention to tell you that you must follow this rule, this rule, this rule, this rule, this rule to attain your freedom. I am suggesting that your heart open itself to God, because it's how God responds within you that gives you specific details, specific routes to take. I tell you of things that I am doing, but you have to do these things if you're sincere and really, really convicted that you want to know God. Then God will accept your conviction, but it does not have to be the way that I specifically do them. So when I say do this, do that, you need to take that in such a way that you present that from your heart to God and let it be defined that your heart's desire would be fulfilled. Because the scriptures tell us, I will fulfill the desires of your heart. I am God. I have placed all that I am with you, and I will never leave you. When we are convinced of this, then we will walk that valley. I mean, that path, that climb that mountain, because we know that the Spirit of truth is with us. The earth and man were created that God's joy be fulfilled. The glorious streams of abundance are for every man's enjoyment. When we arise in the morning, we should declare, this is the day that God has placed before me the abundance of all that is. I am to be joyfully satisfied in this day, even if anything negative should come up. My first thought is to run for refuge. And where do I run? I run into that high tower. And that high tower is just another way of saying I run to the truth of who I am, and I stand still and watch the salvation of the Lord. The heart is to just simply submit to its Creator and receive the abundant life bestowed before the foundation of the world. See, there's just little phrases that we need to understand. Before the foundation of the world, my abundant life was defined. And I have come into a visible state that I might express that which has already been prepared for me. There is a law by which all things come into existence. This we need to understand. There is a law by which all things come into existence. Jesus explained it as a law of binding and loosing. This law is unchangeable. For as a man interprets his affairs inwardly, so will this law, without hindrance, display his belief outwardly. Simply put, what you believe to be so will you experience as your activities of life. That right there is a clearing of obstacles, if properly interpreted. You mean if I so understand that this is the truth and that over there is the lie, if I hold myself to the truth, then the truth is going to reveal the abundant life. Yes. Yes. That's it. That's the law. Whatsoever a man sow, but the sowing is not outside. The sowing is always within the inner chamber, the closet that the Bible refers to. Go into your closet, and the Father who seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. What is the Father seeing? The Father is seeing what you are believing to be the truth. And and he allows it to manifest. Yes. He doesn't stop it. Oh, wow. But I know that the depth of your contemplation will come in such a manner that you will know what to choose to believe or not. You may get some satisfaction out of getting mad at someone and letting them know, but that doesn't solve the issue, because the only issue that is to be solved is that I know the truth, and the truth has set me free. Therefore, I need not open my mouth. I need not offer any resistance, but I know that I'm convicted that I will trust in the Lord and acknowledge him in all my ways, and nothing shall by any way defile. This is an atoning law. Whereas many marvel at that which is described as miracles, it should be truly understood that one is actually witnessing someone expressing the unhindered belief in this law. So everything you're looking out here is either someone believing in the law or someone ignorant of that law. That's all you're ever looking at. But if you will hold your sight to that conviction that this law I will hide within me that I might not sin against it, let the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my Redeemer. At some point in time, you should get the realization that it's actually you doing this stuff to yourself. If so, whatsoever I believe comes to pass, who is bringing that to pass? I am. I'm bringing it to pass. And I shall surely reap what it is I'm sowing in the inner chamber. Jesus stated that I have done one work, and you all marvel. What was he actually trying to reveal? That there is a law irrevocably established before the foundation of the world by which all things come into expression. This law is ever settled in the temple of God, man. That is the hump that all must get over. I am bringing about that which I believe to be real. I can't stop it, but I can be shown the actual truthfulness of something, and if I stay that course, Now can you see why there is no need to pray to God to do something, but you pray to the God of the self to reveal the truth, because that's where you're always swimming. That's where you can always be found, contemplating the world of truth. And that world will never let you down. The atonement, therefore, is the washing away of preconceived, fearful beliefs that this law be recognized as the law divine. As David said, Father, against thee and thee only have I sinned. That's what he was saying, but he wasn't talking to a man. He wasn't talking to someone sitting on a throne. He was talking to his understanding that he knew the truth. He knew what he should and should not do, and against that law had he sinned, if you will, and he received the ugly consequences of his erroneous belief. This law is as natural as breathing. That it fulfills itself in orderly fashion as we have need of fulfilling our existence. It fulfills itself in an orderly fashion as we have need. It was his desire that we not marvel at his expressions, but that we understand that we are the operators of this law as authorized by our Creator. God has given us authority over the works of his hands. If you'll notice, the scriptures start to make sense now. All that the Father hath is mine. He has given it unto me. Son, thou art with me always. God made man in his image and likeness, granting him dominion over every work that he, God, could imagine. And if he gave us authority over that, that means that within us, with the Spirit of God lives. That means that whatever can be imagined within ourselves is under our domain. Man, unfortunately, has lost his way and marvels at the demonstrations without, while not recognizing the demonstrator within. Who is that demonstrator? He is. Now he understands why many prayers seem to go unheard by God. Because that which he is calling God, that which he has conceived to be God, separate from him, someone he is praying to do something, doesn't exist. And that's why prayers seem to just come out of his mouth and drop straight to the ground. Because he's praying to a concept which is untrue. It would be like me telling H3O to be water. And every time I drink it, I go, it don't taste right. Because I'm trying to get H2O out of H3O. These laws are unbreakable. But when the light of atonement has been perceived by careful and diligent contemplation of the truth, this atoning process automatically begins the temple cleansing. I hear people a lot of times saying, I'm going to separate, I'm going to stop hanging around these people, I'm going to stop. Yeah, that's right. And you won't really have to do any separating. Because when you understand that when you start contemplating the truth, it starts to cleanse your consciousness on its own, and it is going to separate you from those who cannot share that same belief. You won't have to do anything. Suddenly they'll just stop being where they normally would be, or they would stop being, you would stop having these occasions to be with them. Something will always come up to make sure that you and that person can't be around each other. And then when you do get in conversation, you will realize that I need to either stop talking, because whatever it is you getting ready to say or whatever you said, they're going to look at you and go, where did you get that from? But you need to understand that because you are being purified, you are being set right with all that is right. And it does not matter how they may accuse you or tell you you're sick or tell you something's not right and why. You just simply have to bite your tongue and just find a way out of the conversation or to another subject matter. By not looking to outside sources or forces, but looking inwardly to the glorious law of liberty, truth has revealed in such an assuming fashion that without hesitation will declare within you, whereas once I was blind, but now I see. You see, when you see the truth of something, everyone else doesn't see it or hear it, but you do. And when you see or hear it within, that is the pearl that Paul called revelation. That revelation comes to you, and you know now it is something that you can depend on because it's taken root in your consciousness, and it is going to begin to deliver because now you believe. Even though you may not believe to the fullness of the fruitage that it will provide, you know it's taken root. Why? Because I know that I know that I know. And that's all. Who then or what then can come at you and harm you? Nothing. Why? Because I have seen God face to face. What is God face to face? Truth. When you see truth, that's what you're looking at, God. As in a glass, as in a mirror. And you are what? Changed into that very glory that you see. The glorious liberty, the glorious liberating law, the glorious, wonderful law that sets men free. And immediately you can think about what life would be like were you able to just walk around here on this earth without a cause of fear. To go out knowing that it may appear that I'm going somewhere or going to be in an environment that looks harmful or may be confusing. Thou art with me. Because thou art with me, I am allowed to what? Rest in green pastures. My soul is restored. What shall I fear? What can man do to me? These are the thoughts that we contemplate because we know I will never leave you nor forsake you. Absent from the body, but yet present with the Lord. We must turn from that which projects limitation and looking trustingly to that which is in back of all demonstration. I know sometimes how hard it is to be in what appears to be a bad situation, but something on the inside of you is saying, just trust in the Lord. Lean not to your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all thy ways. Oh, what's the end result? He will direct thy path. That's it. But not a he, that's a man that we think that's so busy or got to do all of this and do all. No. The truth that you have held within your consciousness for lack of better word, seems to come alive and say, don't worry, I'm here. I'm here. Don't you ever worry about failure, because I am the Lord and I fail not. Simply put, each man is to realize that he attained his victory over the dire effects of human belief. To do this, he must surrender to the truth that he himself is to be atoned, an individual work. We stop trying to drag others into heaven with us. We stop trying to supervise other people's actions. We simply make a suggestion to them that we know is true and proper, and we point them in the direction of peace. Go, sit, be still, and know. Let the truthfulness of this suggestion, of this direction, let it lead and guide you to the fulfillment that was planned for you. And if we look at this in a really spiritual way, the scriptures say that we were with God before the foundation of the world. So just think of yourself as being who you are, being who you were back then, and you have come into an environment now that seems to be chaotic, that seems to just be off the chain as far as negative things going on. But the bottom line is, you came into this environment knowing that an atonement was going to accompany you. You are not finding your way back to heaven. What you are doing is you are reconciling the earth to look like heaven. The physical, visible scene that we now live in, we are reconciling that to look like the peaceful environment from which we came. I have sent my servant into the world that he might reconcile the earth to the heavens. There is an invitation to every man, every woman, and every child to come to the recognition of the power of creating, that they might prosper in that which freely belongs to them. If you heard that, the only battle, if you will, is with myself. To believe that everything belongs to me. Well, does Jesus Christ, remember as he was leaving, what did he say? All power in heaven and earth, all things belong unto me. And if we are joint heirs, then our understanding has to be as his is. All things belong to me. That is a contemplation that we do. I am of the Lord. I am in the Lord. I find all things in God, and all these things belong to me. This is the contemplation that we do that overcomes the world, because this is the contemplation that Jesus did that overcame the world. I will overturn it, and it shall be no more until he come whose right it is, and I will give it him. Come, and I join in and say, come ye, and you shall be atoned. God bless you.